For 3 years, a billionaire banned every celebration in his mansion. No birthdays, no Christmas, no New Year, because the last time they celebrated, his wife died. Now it is almost New Year's Eve, and his son has stopped living. He barely eats, he barely speaks. He looks like a child waiting for life to end. The billionaire thinks silence is protecting them, but the new maid sees the truth, and on New Year's Eve, the child will beg for something that will break his father forever. December 29th came quietly to the Blackwood mansion. No snow, no music, no sign that a new year was close. The house stood tall and expensive, but inside it felt tired, like it had been holding its breath for years. Ethan Blackwood woke up before sunrise, as usual. He did not stretch, he did not look at the window. He reached for his phone, checked emails, checked numbers, checked deals. His wife had been gone for 3 years, and since then, work was the only thing that did not ask him to feel. He walked into the kitchen, picked up coffee, and left without sitting down. Noah was already awake. The boy sat at the dining table, his feet not touching the floor, a bowl of cereal in front of him, untouched. He stared at the spoon like it might move on its own. "Eat," Ethan said, without looking up. Noah did not answer. Ethan paused for half a second, then spoke again. "I will be late tonight." Noah nodded once, slow, like that sentence had no meaning anymore. Ethan left. The door closed, and the house returned to silence. Later that morning, Imani Carter arrived for her shift. She wore her uniform neat and clean, her hair pulled back, her face calm. She had worked in many houses before, but this one felt different the moment she stepped inside. It was not just quiet, it was empty. The staff moved like ghosts. No one laughed, no one talked about their weekend. Every step sounded too loud. Imani started cleaning the living room. As she worked, she noticed how perfect everything was. Too perfect, like nothing was allowed to be lived in. No toys on the floor, no photos on the tables, no warmth. She saw Noah again around midday. He walked slowly down the hallway, holding a book, though his eyes were not reading. He stopped when he saw her. Imani smiled gently. "Hello again, Noah." Noah stared at her shoes. Imani did not push. She nodded once and continued wiping the table. But when Noah passed, she noticed something else. His shoulders were heavy, not like a tired child, like someone who had already decided nothing good was coming. That afternoon, Imani found the small paper calendar hidden near the window. She did not touch it again, but the image stayed in her mind. A child counting down days, not with joy, but with fear. That evening, Ethan came home late. Noah was already in his room. Dinner sat untouched on the table. Ethan loosened his tie and sat alone, scrolling through his phone while chewing without tasting. Imani stood nearby, unsure if she should speak. She remembered the note she had seen in the calendar corner, the empty boxes left. She took a breath. "Sir," she said softly. Ethan did not look up. "What?" "Your son did not eat today." Ethan shied, tired. "He eats when he is hungry." Imani nodded. "Yes, sir." She paused. "He watched the door for you." That made Ethan look up. "What did you say?" Imani kept her voice calm. "He kept looking toward the entrance, like he expected you." Ethan's jaw tightened. "That will be all," he said. Imani stepped back. She knew she had crossed a line, but she also knew that silence had already crossed too many. That night, Noah sat on his bed holding his mother's old hoodie. It still smelled faintly like her, or maybe his memory filled in the scent. He pressed his face into it and whispered words that no one heard. Imani heard him again. The crying. She stood outside the door,
unsure if she should knock. She remembered her own loss, long ago, how quiet pain could eat a person alive. She knocked softly. Noah froze.
"It is me," she said. "I will not come in." The door opened a little. Noah's eyes were red. Imani crouched. "You do not have to talk." Noah hugged the hoodie tighter. She spoke slowly. "I saw your calendar." Noah's eyes widened with fear. "I am not angry," Imani said quickly. "I just want to understand." Noah swallowed. "I don't want New Year," he whispered. Imani nodded. "Why?" Noah stared at the floor. "Because last time we were happy." Imani waited. Then he said it. "After happy days, people disappear." Imani felt her chest ache. "Who disappeared?" she asked gently. Noah's voice broke. "Mom." Imani nodded slowly. "And Dad," Noah added. "He stopped seeing me." Imani shook her head. "He sees you." Noah looked up, angry for the first time. "No, he looks past me." Imani had no answer for that. She chose honesty. "Grown-ups sometimes get lost inside pain." Noah hugged the hoodie tighter. "Then I don't want to grow up." Imani smiled sadly. "That is okay." She stood. "Sleep now." Noah watched her leave. Down the hall, Ethan stood in the shadow of the doorway. He had heard voices. He had stopped when he heard his son speak. Not much, but enough. Enough to make his chest feel heavy. Imani walked past him and froze when she saw him. "Sir?" she said quietly. Ethan did not speak right away. "What did he say?" he asked. Imani hesitated, then answered. "He is scared." Ethan scoffed softly. "Of what?" Imani met his eyes. "Of losing you." Ethan looked away. "That is ridiculous," he said, but his voice was not strong. Imani nodded. "Good night, sir." She walked away, leaving Ethan alone in the hallway. He stood there for a long time, listening to the silence. For the first time in years, it did not feel peaceful. It felt dangerous. And somewhere upstairs, Noah crossed out December 29th. Only 2 days left. December 30th, December 31st. New Year was coming, and whether Ethan was ready or not, something in that house was about to break. December 30th arrived with a gray sky and a quiet wind outside the Blackwood mansion. Inside, nothing looked different. No lights, no decorations, no sign that the year was ending. But something had already shifted. Ethan woke up earlier than usual. He sat on the edge of his bed, phone in his hand, staring at the screen without reading. Imani's words from the hallway kept returning. "He is scared of losing you." Ethan told himself it was nonsense. He paid for everything Noah needed: the best school, the best doctors, the best counselors. What else did a father have to do? Still, when he walked down the hallway and past Noah's room, he paused. He did not open the door. He did not knock. He simply stood there for 2 seconds, then kept going. At breakfast, Noah sat at the same spot. The cereal bowl was there again, untouched again. Ethan sat across from him this time, not on his phone, just sitting. Noah noticed. His eyes flicked up for a second, then dropped again. "Eat," Ethan said, softer than yesterday. Noah picked up the spoon, lifted it halfway, then put it down. Ethan watched the movement like it was a battle being lost in slow motion. "Would you like eggs?" Ethan asked, unsure of why he was even trying. Noah did not answer. Ethan's jaw tightened. He pushed his chair back. "Fine." He left the table and grabbed his coat. When he reached the doorway, Noah's voice came out, small and flat. "Are you leaving again?" Ethan froze. He turned halfway. "I have to work." Noah nodded, like he expected that answer. He looked back at his bowl. Ethan walked out, but his stomach felt tight all the way to the car. Later that morning, Imani came in and started her work. She found Noah sitting by the living room window. He was not playing, not reading, just sitting, watching the street, counting time in his head. Imani approached slowly. "Hello, Noah." Noah glanced at her, then looked away. Imani set a small tray on the table beside him. On it were 2 cups of hot chocolate. Steam rose gently.
Noah stared at it, confused.
I made one for you, Imani said, and one for me. Noah did not touch it. Imani sat on the carpet a few feet away, not too close, not too far. She picked up her cup and took a slow sip. She didn't speak for a while. Noah watched her from the corner of his eye. After some minutes, he whispered, "Why are you sitting there?" Imani smiled. "Because the window seat looks lonely." Noah frowned. "I like being alone." Imani nodded. "Sometimes being alone feels safe." Noah's fingers twisted together. He did not deny it. Imani reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small folded paper. It was a simple paper star made from plain white paper. She held it up. "Do you want to learn how to make one?" Noah didn't answer. Imani placed the star on the table and looked back at the window. She gave him room. Noah stared at the star for a long time. Then, very slowly, he reached out and picked it up. His hands were careful, like he was holding something that could hurt him. Imani watched quietly. "I can show you," she said, "only if you want." Noah's lips moved. "Okay." Imani unfolded another sheet of paper and started slowly. Fold, turn, press. Noah watched closely, his eyes focused for the first time in days. When he tried, his first fold was crooked. He looked frustrated and pushed the paper away. Imani didn't correct him fast. She just said, "Try again." Noah stared at her. "Why?" Imani kept her voice simple. "Because you are still here." Noah's throat tightened. He tried again. This time, the fold was better. By midday, he had made 3 uneven stars. He placed them in a small row on the table like trophies. Then he whispered, "New Year is tomorrow." Imani nodded. "Yes." Noah's hands froze. "We don't do New Year." Imani did not argue. She asked gently, "What do you think happens if you do?" Noah swallowed. "Bad things." Imani's eyes softened. "Like what?" Noah's voice shook. "Mom died after a celebration." Imani nodded slowly. "I am sorry, Noah." Noah stared at his stars. "So celebrating is a trap." Imani took a breath. "Your mom did not die because you were happy." Noah looked up fast. "How do you know?" Imani's voice stayed steady. "Because happiness is not a knife." Noah blinked. Imani continued. "Life has sharp days. Life has accidents. Life has endings. But joy did not cause it." Noah's lips trembled. "Then why did Dad stop?" Imani did not argue. She asked gently, "Because he was hurt." Noah whispered, "So he left me." Imani shook her head. "He did not leave the house, but you are right, he left the room." Noah's eyes filled. Imani's voice softened. "Tomorrow night, when the clock changes, you will not be alone. I will be here." Noah looked scared. "Will you make Dad stay?" Imani didn't promise something she could not control. She said, "I will try to help him see you." That afternoon, Ethan returned earlier than expected. He entered the living room and stopped. Noah was sitting on the carpet, paper scraps around him, a cup of hot chocolate on the table. Imani was nearby, folding another star. Noah looked up and froze. Imani stood quickly. "Sir?" Ethan stared at the mess. "What is this?" Noah's hand shook as he reached for a paper star and hid it behind his back. Imani spoke before fear could take over. "He was learning something small." Ethan's eyes moved to Noah. "You were doing crafts?" Noah didn't answer. Ethan's mouth tightened. "Clean this up." Noah's shoulders dropped. "Yes, sir." Ethan turned to leave, but Noah's voice came out, thin and brave. "It's almost New Year." Ethan froze again. He looked at Noah, really looked. His eyes were wet. His face was trying to stay hard, but it couldn't. Ethan swallowed. He did not say Happy New Year. He did not smile, but he said something he had not said in a long time. "Noah,
I will be home tomorrow night." Noah stared like he didn't believe his ears. Imani held her breath. Ethan walked away fast like he regretted speaking. But Noah sat still, staring at the doorway. He didn't smile. Not yet.
But he didn't look as empty either. And in his room that night, Noah crossed out December 30. Only one day left. New Year's Eve. December 31st arrived, and the mansion woke up like it always did, silent. No radio, no cheerful voices, no smell of special food. But in Noah's room, the air felt different. He sat up in bed earlier than usual, staring at the door like he was waiting for proof that his father meant what he said. Last night, Ethan had promised, "I will be home tomorrow night." Noah kept replaying those words in his head, like if he held them tight enough, they would not disappear. Downstairs, Ethan was already dressed in a dark suit, tie tight, hair neat, phone in hand. He walked into the dining room and stopped. Noah was sitting at the table. Not sleeping in, not hiding in his room, sitting. Ethan almost turned his head away, almost walked out, but he forced himself to sit across from him again. Noah stared at his plate. Ethan cleared his throat. "Good morning?" Noah's lips moved. "Morning." It was quiet, but it was a real response. Ethan's chest felt tight. He looked at the cereal box, then at Noah. "Would you like pancakes?" Noah hesitated, then nodded once. Ethan stood, unsure of what to do next. He had not cooked in years. He pressed the button for the kitchen staff, but then he stopped himself. He didn't want a staff member to take over. He didn't want Noah to think this was another fake moment. He walked into the kitchen alone. Imani was already there, wiping the counter. When she saw Ethan enter, she straightened. "Good morning, sir." Ethan lowered his voice. "I told him I would be home tonight." Imani nodded. "Yes, sir." Ethan hesitated. "He believed me." Imani didn't smile, she just said, "Then please keep your word." Ethan's jaw tightened like he was angry at the truth. "I need pancakes," he muttered. Imani quietly pulled out ingredients and showed him the steps without making him feel small. Ethan poured too much batter the first time. The pancake came out thick and uneven. He stared at it like it was a failure. Imani said softly, "It does not have to be perfect to be real." Ethan didn't answer. He carried the plate to the table himself. Noah watched him, surprised. Ethan set the pancakes down. "Eat." Noah picked up his fork, cut a small piece, and took a bite. His face stayed serious, but he kept eating. Ethan sat back, watching like he was afraid the moment would break if he moved wrong. After breakfast, Ethan stood up. "I have meetings, but I will be back before midnight." Noah froze. He looked up fast. "Before midnight?" Ethan nodded. "Yes." Noah swallowed. "Okay." Ethan left and the mansion went quiet again. But this time, Noah did not sink into the couch. He followed Imani around the living room for a while, holding one of the paper stars he made yesterday. Imani noticed. "You want to do more?" Noah nodded slightly. Imani knelt by the storage cabinet and pulled out a small box. Inside were plain candles, a clean tablecloth, and a simple glass bowl. Noah's eyes widened. "What is that?" Imani kept her voice calm. "Not a party." Noah's shoulders loosened a little. Imani continued. "Just a small table, a small light, a small meal. Something quiet." Noah stared at the candle. "Dad will be angry." Imani shook her head. "Your dad is not angry at candles. He's angry at pain." Noah looked down. "New Year hurts him." Imani nodded. "Yes, but silence is also hurting him." Noah didn't answer, but he didn't walk away. In the afternoon, Imani made a simple meal,
Not fancy, just warm food that smelled like home. Noah helped by placing napkins on the table. His hands shook when he smoothed the cloth, but he kept going. He placed 3 paper stars near the candle. Imani didn't question why 3. Noah whispered, "One from Mom." Imani's throat tightened. "That is beautiful." As evening came, Ethan's office called him twice. A client was angry. A deal was in trouble. Ethan stayed later than planned.
At 9:30, Noah sat by the window again, staring at the driveway. Imani stood behind him, quiet. At 10:15, Noah's fingers began to pick at his sleeve. At 10:40, he whispered, "He is not coming." Imani didn't lie. She said, "We will wait a little more." At 11:05, a car finally pulled into the driveway. Noah's whole body stiffened. He stood and took one step toward the hallway, then stopped like fear grabbed his feet. The front door opened. Ethan walked in, face tense, tie loosened, phone still in his hand. He started to speak into it, then he heard a soft sound. Not loud, not music. A gentle clink of a plate being set. He looked toward the dining room and froze. The table was set. A candle in the center. 3 paper stars beside it. 2 chairs pulled out like someone expected him. Ethan's face tightened. What is this? Noah stepped forward, shaking. Imani stood behind Noah, calm but ready. Ethan's eyes moved to Noah. "Did you do this?" Noah's lips trembled. Imani helped. Ethan's voice rose. "I said no celebrations." Noah flinched like a slap. Imani spoke, firm but respectful. "Sir, it is not a party. It is a table." Ethan snapped. "You don't get to decide what happens in my house." Noah's breath became fast. His hands shook harder. Imani lowered her voice. "Sir, look at him." Ethan looked at Noah and saw it. Not rebellion, terror. Noah whispered, "Please don't send her away." Ethan's eyes widened. Noah had not begged for anyone in years. Ethan swallowed. His anger drained, replaced by confusion and guilt. He looked at Imani, then back at Noah. Noah's voice broke. "If you take her away, it will be like you leaving again." Ethan's mouth opened, but no words came. Imani stepped back to give space. Ethan slowly lowered his phone, turned it off, and placed it on the counter. He walked to the chair, pulled it out, and sat down. Noah didn't move. Ethan's voice came out low. "Come sit." Noah hesitated, then sat across from him. Ethan stared at the candle, at the paper star that said Mom without words. His throat tightened. He whispered, "I promised I would be here tonight." Noah nodded, tears falling. Ethan's voice cracked, "And I am here." Outside, far away, fireworks popped in the distance. Inside, the candle stayed steady. And the real night, the night that would decide everything, had finally begun. The candle burned quietly between them, small but steady. Ethan sat at the table with his hands flat on the wood, like he needed something solid to hold him in place. Noah sat across from him, shoulders tight, eyes wet, waiting for the moment to turn bad. Imani stayed a few steps back near the doorway. She did not want to sit at their table. This was not her family. But she would also not leave Noah alone to face fear again. Ethan stared at the 3 paper stars beside the candle. "One for Mom," Noah whispered. Ethan swallowed hard. His eyes moved to the star, then to Noah's face. He spoke slowly, like each word had weight. "You made these." Noah nodded. Ethan's voice became rough. "When did you start doing this?" Noah looked down. "Yesterday."
Ethan glanced at Imani. You taught him. Imani answered gently. He wanted to learn, sir. Ethan turned back to Noah. Why did you hide it? Noah's fingers twisted together. Because you don't like New Year. Ethan flinched at the truth. Noah looked up, brave for a second. You don't like anything. The words hung in the air. Ethan's jaw tightened, but he did not shout. Instead, he leaned back and closed his eyes for a moment. When he opened them, his voice was quieter. I did not hate you, Noah. Noah's lips trembled. Then why did you leave me? Ethan stared at him. His hands shook slightly, and he hated that they did. Ethan said, I did not leave the house. Noah's eyes narrowed. You left me. Ethan took a slow breath. He looked at the candle again. Then he said the truth, plain and simple.
When your mom died, I felt like I failed both of you. I kept seeing her face. I kept hearing the sound of the phone call. I kept thinking if I had come home earlier, if I had called her, if I had done something different, she would still be here. Noah listened like he was afraid to blink. Ethan continued, So I decided that if I stopped everything, if I stopped joy, if I stopped celebrations, maybe I could stop life from moving forward. I thought I could hold the days still. Noah whispered, But days still moved. Ethan nodded slowly. Yes, and I was not holding time, I was holding you down. Noah's face crumpled. Ethan leaned forward. I am sorry. Noah's voice shook. You never said that. Ethan swallowed. I should have. Noah stared at the table, then whispered, I thought you wanted me to disappear, because you never looked at me. Ethan's eyes filled. He reached a hand across the table, then stopped halfway, unsure if Noah would pull back. Noah flinched, but he did not move away. Ethan placed his hand down on the table, palm open, not grabbing, just waiting. Noah stared at the open hand like it was a strange thing. Slowly, very slowly, Noah lifted his own hand and placed it on Ethan's. Their fingers touched. It was a small touch, but it felt like the first bridge built after a long storm. Imani turned her face away and blinked hard. Ethan spoke again, softer. Noah, I promised I would be here tonight. I want to promise something else too. Noah whispered, What? Ethan took a breath. I want to try again. I want to be your dad again, not just the man who pays for things. Noah's eyes searched his face. Ethan added, But I need your help. Tell me when I am leaving the room. Tell me when you feel alone. Noah's mouth opened, but fear still lived there. He whispered, What if we celebrate and something bad happens again? Ethan's throat tightened. Imani stepped forward one step, careful. Sir, she said, may I say something? Ethan looked at her and nodded once. Imani kept her voice gentle. Bad things can happen on any day. They can happen on a Monday, or a birthday, or a quiet afternoon. If you punish yourself by never smiling again, the pain wins twice. Ethan looked down. Noah whispered, So it was not New Year's fault? Imani shook her head. No, Noah, it was not happiness that took your mom. But I know why your mind thinks that, because you were a child, and children blame the last thing they remember. Noah's tears fell again. Ethan squeezed his hand gently. Your mom loved New Year. Noah's eyes widened. She did? Ethan nodded. She used to stand by the window and count down with you in her arms. She said a new year means we get another chance. Noah whispered, I don't remember. Ethan's voice broke. I do. Silence filled the room, but it was different now. It was not empty. It was full of things finally being said. Ethan looked at the clock on the wall. 11:41. He wiped his face quickly, like he was angry at his own tears. He looked at Noah. Can we do something tonight? Just a small thing, to honor her,
and to honor us. Noah's breath came fast. What like? Ethan glanced at the candle. We can sit here, we can eat, we can count down. No loud noise, no guests, just us. Noah stared at him for a long time. Then he nodded once. Imani quietly served the meal. Ethan actually ate with Noah, not in another room, not while scrolling his phone. They ate slowly. Noah took small bites, but he kept going. At 11:59, Ethan stood up and walked to the window. He motioned Noah to come. Noah hesitated, then stood beside him. The city outside was distant lights and faint sounds, the world preparing to turn the page. Ethan pointed gently. You might hear fireworks soon. Noah's shoulders tightened. I don't like loud sounds. Ethan nodded. Then we will stay inside. You can cover your ears if you need. Noah looked at Ethan, surprised. You won't be mad? Ethan swallowed. No, I won't be mad.
Imani stepped back into the hallway to give them space, but she stayed close enough to hear if Noah needed help. Ethan looked at the clock again. 11:59. Noah's breathing became shallow. Ethan lowered himself a little so his face was closer to Noah's. Look at me. Noah looked. Ethan spoke slowly. Nothing is going to take me away tonight. I am right here. Noah's eyes filled again. The clock ticked. 12 o'clock. A few fireworks popped far away, soft but real. Ethan whispered, Happy New Year, Noah. Noah's lips trembled. Then Noah said it, clear enough to mean it. Happy New Year, Dad. Ethan's face broke open with emotion. He pulled Noah into a hug. Noah froze for half a second, then hugged back, tight, like he had been starving for it. Behind them, the candle kept burning. Not big, not loud, but steady. And in that moment, the Blackwood mansion finally stopped being a place where joy was forbidden. It became a home again. Dear viewers, this story is a reminder that grief can make good people disappear, even when they're standing right in front of us. Ethan thought burying joy would protect his son, but silence almost took him away instead. It was not the mansion that healed this family. It was not money. It was one quiet moment, one honest conversation, and one person who refused to let a child fade. If this story touched your heart, please tell us in the comments where you were watching from and what lesson you learned from it. Was it about grief, about parenting, or about choosing life again even when it hurts? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who may need it today. Your support helps us bring you more real, emotional stories like this. If you want more stories that remind us why kindness still matters, comment more stories, and you will be the first to get our next emotional upload. Now let us ask you 3 questions. Would you have allowed celebrations again if you were in Ethan's place? Do you think silence can hurt more than pain? And who in your life needs to be reminded that they still matter? Thank you for watching, and may this new year bring healing, courage, and reasons to celebrate again.